This should be played at high volume, preferably in a residential area.
It's the Dirty Laundry Game-Worn Hockey Podcast.
We're old school, right? We wash our own dirty laundry.
The name on the front is a hell of a lot more important than the one on the back.
I refuse to be judged by a grown man wearing a hockey jersey.
Game on!
Game on!
We are back with another episode of the Dirty Laundry Game-Worn Hockey Podcast, episode number 81. We have a full house. And I will thank you to everybody because Four Nations is on TV in the background. Of course, by the time everybody listens, the game's over. Currently tied at 1 apiece, I believe. Everybody's got their TV on. Wade's been jumping up and down before we started recording. So Meli, she's joining us tonight, has her Team USA jersey. Michael is watching the TV that's outside on his back porch inside the house, which I just love. That is definitely dedication to be able to see it however you can. So we are all keeping track of that. We'll probably mention it several times during the podcast tonight. As always, we want to thank our sponsor, Mitch, with the Drink Your Face Off line of barware and clothing. The drink of choice tonight is a very special one. Will probably never be mixed with anything. Will be drank straight out of the bottle. 2024 Four Roses Barrel Strength Special Edition, or Limited Edition, excuse me. The reason I got this one, and real quick, cheers, and then I'll tell you a story. I made a visit to St. Louis today to pick up Blues jerseys I won in the auction, pick up some other stuff I was getting lettered, and then also met up with my longtime friend, of course, talked about him a ton on the show, Mike McKenna. I had acquired another one of his jerseys for him, and he is now the owner, general manager of Macadoodles, which one of their stores, which is a big liquor store. They have high-end liquors, wines, cigars, all that kind of stuff. So he was very kind to set me up with a very nice bottle that I'd never be able to afford on my own. So so thanks to Mike, and got even to hand him the jersey. We took a picture right in the store today, so you can see he didn't know it was coming. He knew I was stopping by just to see him, did not know the jersey was coming, so was able to drop that off with him today, and he showed it to customers walking in the door. There were people wearing Team USA jerseys, so they were like, "Hey, it's a cool hockey jersey." And then he's like, "Yeah, by the way, that's mine." So kind of cool little story. I know we've had some other posts recently about people, players wanting their jerseys, things like that. So Mike has less and less out there. So when they do pop up, I definitely try and either let him know so he can get it himself, or in this case, I was happy to pick it up. So nice, fun little visit down there. Some different auctions and things. Paul, I'll start with you because you have info on a few.
Yeah, the Sharks had another Celebrini auction. I think we can say this like every other show, but they had the white set 2 jersey, which I think was, I'm not sure how many games it was worn, but I think the set 1 was the first game, maybe 1 or 2 after that. So it's been a home jersey. It looked like it had somewhere. That was up on the Sharks Pro Shop website auction, and that went for $8,550. So that's a lot less than the first Thornton patched 1 period one, because I think, wasn't that like $16K or
right around there.
Then the next one went for less, so now this is $8,500 and change. There was also a Celebrini goal puck in there against the Kraken from November 29th. That one for only $1,400. And when I say only, it's compared. The first one went for $5K. I forget what the second one went for. I believe this is the third one they've auctioned off. And finally, in this auction, there was a Will Smith and a white jersey away. I can't remember if it's set 1 or set 2, and that went for $3,100.
Yeah, that price really slaps.
Yeah,
I know that's a terrible Will Smith joke.
Yeah, but yeah, you'll use it every show.
I will try. Yes.
Yeah. So more and more Celebrini stuff's coming available. There was 2 other items. One being a stick from Smith, which was $600. But what I found interesting too, there was a rookie face-off nameplate. So the tournament in LA, at the practice facility there for the Kings and whatever by LAX. That went for $550 for his locker room nameplate signed by Celebrini, which I have no idea if that was the only one, but
and teams are starting real quick. Teams are starting to do that a lot more too, where they're making nameplates for every event and I mean, the amount that we see when we go to the Blues equipment sale, the stacks and different designs are incredible. And I think
we're starting to really AHL them up a little bit. And,
yeah.
You know, the AHL has been famous for that for a long time. And it seems like the NHL has kind of caught on to the fact that, you know, they can do it and make money on them in every auction or in every situation. So
that's a sharp one, Paul.
Yeah, so that's the style that was auctioned off for $550 for Celebrini, and it's signed by Celebrini. So it has the logo from the LA rookie face-off this past year. And you know, I had to pick up one. I think they're pretty cool looking, but yeah, agree with you guys. Other auction I wanted to mention before we cover some of the bigger ones was the AHL Authentics auction. They had All-Star Game skill competition jerseys. And some of those jerseys were worn as the beginning of the season and then up to the All-Star Game and then auctioned off. And one, which looks like it clearly was not, was the Askarov jersey. And this is an AHL jersey, the black Barracuda jerseys, cool looking jersey and all that. Final bid was $11,530. So, you know, when you see a bid like that, and you can look at the bid history, it looks like everything was legit in the bidding and all that. Well, 2 days ago, the AHL set out there was a problem with the bidding, and the jersey is back up for auction again. I looked, it was a little bit over $1,000, and I think it still has a number of days to go. But it's us and the Sharks and Cuda Group are just like we're just shocked to see a $11,000 AHL jersey.
I was the underbidder on the Blues prospect Dvorsky jersey, and I bid $2,500, which was an absolutely insane amount of money, especially what Michael said before we started. And the reason I bid so much in is I'm not sure how many of his will pop up, and you could tell it was absolutely hammered from the first half of the season. So it was probably his jersey from the full first half up until that skills competition or that all-star break. But I'm actually glad I got outbid on it. Sort of. I mean, I'd like to have it, but I would have been happy to pay that for it. But I did bid a little bit crazy in the Blues auction as well. So kind of worked in my favor that it fell through my hands, if that makes any sense. But I did actually email the AHL, and they did get back to me that the person did pay for that one. So to the winner, congratulations. I'm sorry that I bid you up continually.
It's an awfully nice jersey, that one. So it's
I mean, it was like Wade said, it's beat to hell. And the ones the guys that are wearing that whole time, if you're paying that kind of money, at least you're not getting a one game jersey. You're getting one that's got extensive use to it.
I'm obviously a big Blues AHL fan, and I collect their stuff, and I love Springfield and what they've done the last couple of years since they've been our affiliate, but they do wear a lot of jerseys. So it's kind of funny. You'll find some really hammered ones, and then you'll find some really light wear ones. So it's hit and miss as far as that goes. But that would have been a nice one to get for probably $1,000 less than what I bid on it.
Right. We'll definitely keep an eye on the Askarov then and see where it lands. Because if it lands close to that price again, then I'm curious why they kicked it out the first time. Especially, Paul, you said you went and looked at the bid history and it didn't stick out like it was like it went from 1,000 to 11,000 kind of thing.
Logan and I were discussing that last night. We actually suspect that maybe two people were involved in the bidding.
Yeah. That
one, possibly someone got in a little bit too deep. So they had his friend bid him up and then, back and forth. And we only the AHL really knows what happens. But I suspect it was more than just one person.
The AHL does have their skills competition all-star jerseys going right now, too. So those are actually pretty neat looking.
Wait, no, skills or the game jersey?
No, I think it's the game ones. Excuse me.
Yeah,
I
because the
forgot to pull
skills
it up.
would be the regular team. That's the one thing the AHL does. For the skills
Yeah.
competition, you wear your team's jersey.
Yeah, correct. My bad.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking at the bidding right now for the Askarov. The top bid was 11.53. Under bid was 11.52. Then
Yeah.
10.5, 9.5, 8.5, 4, 8.52, blah, 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 all the way down to like 2,500. So there were a lot of bids on that one.
So it looks like they have the 2025 AHL All-Star warm-up jerseys worn. Those are currently going, and they've got about 9 days to go.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's a pretty sharp-looking jersey.
Yeah, so we'll keep an eye on those and probably touch on them again a little bit next week. We had classic auctions. They closed the other day. A lot of people sharing what they got with that. So congratulations to all the winners there. Game Worn Auctions, who has not had an auction for a while. I don't think even didn't have an actual fall one like they usually do. And now are doing this one in February. That closes in 14 days. So if you find anything out there, good luck with your bidding. NHL Auctions has the Battle of Alberta jerseys we've talked about before. They closed February 25th. They do also have Oilers equipment out there. They also closed the same day. We do have, or they do have, the Four Nations face-off jerseys, and their descriptions have been pretty decent because now they list them like Team Finland, which ends the 25th. Sebastian Aho, for example, worn February 15th, worn during entire game. Most of these, some of the other ones like Connor Hellebuck, the February 13th, worn during third period on February 13th. So in the title of it, it says right there where the game or where the jersey was worn. So there are prices all over the place depending on who you're looking at. They all close, and it looks like most of the ones, Reinhardt's hasn't made it yet, but some of them have met their reserves, which I thought was interesting that some of the players' jerseys had reserves and others did not. And it was very scattered around. It wasn't even just the big name guys. So I was a little surprised on that, but whatever. I mean, they do their thing. So they close on the 25th, but I believe all the teams are posted out here. So good luck with those. They, like I said, they do all close at February 25th at 9:40 p.m. Eastern time. So 8:40 Central, so on and so forth. And I believe that has the extended bidding on those as well. So
yes,
buckle up. My Gray's just got a few things there. They have, we've touched on most everything. They do have 20. Speaking of the AHL, now we have in their stuff. They have the 2025 ECHL Heritage Game Worn Gloves auction that ends March 11th. And they do have a puck auction as well. One other one to touch on: the Blues did a set one home and away together auction that closed on Monday. I think it was Monday. Yeah, all the days run together for me. Sorry. Closed on Monday evening, and the Blues wore their set ones an extremely long time. They wore them from playoffs to mid-January. Some of the away jerseys had 24 games on them. The home jerseys, I believe the most, because of all the specialty there wore, I think was either 14 or 16. I actually went through and compared the Blues schedule of all their different jerseys and then did some manual math, and I think I came pretty close, but they were beat to hell. I picked up a couple, Wade's got some, and even just looking on the auction pictures, you could tell a lot of them were just beat up. I have one of the ones I picked up was a home Tyler Tucker, and he only wore it in 6 games, but I don't know if somebody was hitting him with a stick that had a knife on it or what, but on the one arm, the numbers are cut almost all the way through, and they had to sew it to the point the 7's now crooked. There's other guys to the arms, on the shoulders. It's just repairs everywhere. Some of the other crazy just through there seem to be a lot of spot. The arms, Wade's got one that actually it's through both layers. One of mine is almost that way. But the term that we love in this hobby does actually seem to show up more on these, especially the whites, is the general filth. There's a lot of that all over the jersey. I was talking to somebody that got a away Falk jersey. There's a ton of marks on the front, and Falk was rotating the A while on the road. I don't know if all the teams do it, but the Blues A, they stick on for the game, and then they take it off at the end and put it back in the team jersey box. Well, that adhesive kept building up on that spot, and now you can see the outline of the A, and it's all, call it dirty, from just that extra adhesive laying there. And I pointed out to the guy that won it. I'm like, hey, if you go wait till you get this. I said, that A is going to be, you'll see almost the whole thing. So other people, if you're getting jerseys from other teams, let us know what your wear's like. But those Blues ones, especially with that game count, was hammered.
Yeah. The heavy game count, I think, added to it. I also think it was material based. I mean, the one thing that I saw on these versus the Adidas ones was a lot more burns. A lot more visual burns. And then the general filth term that we all do love, these were dirty. I mean, like whether or not it was like, you know, marks on the numbers, marks on the crest. I mean, there was definitely more wear and use on these just based upon the amount of games, but just material wise too. So, I mean, you know, I really, Paul's going to hate me for saying this, but man, I really like these Fanatics jerseys.
The whites especially, and we've mentioned at length with newer hobbyists, go for the white if you want to get one because they'll usually show better wear, and these for sure do. So, like I said, if you guys are getting yours out there, please let us know what that looks like. Right before we get to Michael and Meli, one other subject I want to bring up and kind of get everybody's opinions on. Speaking of jerseys and white jerseys for that matter, discussions going around again that the NHL may actually switch to whites at home. You know what? We'll kind of do a round robin here. Meli, I'll start with you. What do you think about that? The possibility of us switching to whites?
I think it'd be great because it was always like white at home and black. We were like the bad guys when we were away. And when I was a kid going to the games, Kings wore white at home. And then black was like the road. I mean, that's how I always thought it. And then when they switched it out, it was kind of weird, but that's why I was cool with the AHL because they swap back and forth. But I always thought like black, like the darks was like when the Kings wore the black Chevys, it was like we were the bad guys away. So I like it.
I like that thought. No, that's a great take on that, Paul.
I absolutely would love to switch to weights at home. Back like the old days. It would be great to see all the different color jerseys coming into town, rather than just repeatedly seeing the same variation of a white jersey or maybe yellow if it's Nashville. But it would bring up. I would, as a Sharks fan, I would love to see it coming into there. Now, the game we're all watching, we have USA in blue, Canada in red. And I would love to see more games. I bring this up a few times. I would love to see more, contrasting, or is it contrasting colors playing against each other. Best game, color-wise I've seen was the Red Wings Maple Leafs in Michigan Stadium. UCLA, USC is great every year because they both wear their
like special thirds or like special thirds or something.
Yeah. I mean, I would love to see Ohio State, Michigan do that for football. You can easily play scarlet against blue.
Yeah, you're not going to confuse the teams or the players or anything. So no, that's an awesome thing too. And even if the NHL wanted to try it, where they did like the AHL and they switch halfway through, fine, do it that way too. Because again, you're not going to have the equipment guys and stuff. I don't believe going to have any major issue with switching what colors and stuff. So I do. I hope they bring it. And now we'll go to Michael, who from the time period he collects, that's when they wore white at home.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a whole lot to add other than I thought what Meli said represents exactly how I feel. I think that the whites are certainly the good guys and the darks are the bad guys. And I also agree with Paul bringing in the colors to uniforms. I remember when the old Calgary Flames would show up to the Forum, and it was the red. So I mean, I don't have a whole lot to add. The one thing I will say, and that is, I don't particularly love the idea of two colors like you're referring to. And for me, I think, well, not just for me, but I think for a lot of people, it kind of can make the game a little almost blurry when you have such a big contrast, white, black, red, white. It helps create a contrast that helps people, I think, see the puck more, and I think it's better visually for the fans. So I'm a big fan, and Meli said it all.
Wade.
So, I mean, I remember when the NHL did it, and they did it based upon a study that they had determined that the fans are more likely to buy the home jerseys. So it was done in a marketing way to switch it up, to change the value of the jerseys and sell more jerseys. So I've been actually expecting this for the last couple of years because I figured they'd do it on like a 10-year rotation. I agree with what everybody said. I would love to see our home teams back in white because I'd like to see the road colors come in as well. I think that would be a lot of fun. And it would go back to a little bit more traditional. So I'm all for it. And I'm sure they're going to do it because at the end of the day, it is all about how many jerseys they can sell. And if somebody in their sales and marketing and their numbers department said, okay, we've maxed this out. If we switch it again, we're going to sell more of these jerseys and make more money. And I'm sure Fanatics is on board for that, and so is the NHL.
It's all about cash, and that really what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and we'll keep an eye on that, and may at some point have some more discussions and other shows on that. So, Michael, let's start with you with welcoming you, and you've got something just around the corner.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. This is my first podcast. I have to tell you, I had to go to Paul and get some instructions today. So it shows my age a little bit, although I should be better at this. But so really quickly, I am one of the hosts of the Southern California Game Worn Jersey Expo. We hold it in Santa Clarita, California every year. This is I believe, our 5th year. I hold it in Santa Clarita because I had to kind of start it here in my backyard and then have it grow, and we've kept it here. We have a phenomenal facility. It's over 4,000 square feet. We are completely sold out. It's March 1st. If you're not familiar with Santa Clarita, we're about 30 miles north of Los Angeles. But the show is amazing. We love our NorCal friends on the show. We won't mention anybody's names, but we feel that we have the best show, frankly, on the West Coast, and we're looking to build the best show in the country. And I think we're only a year or two away from that. This year, we have the LA Kings Care Foundation is coming once again. They bring their jerseys. They raise money for a tremendous organization that's really doing great work in the community. We're going to have over 25 different collectors. We're well over 40 tables. And there's going to be food and lots of good times to be had. Lots of different types of collectors where Meli and I came together and decided we're going to allow a couple Sharks people there. It's not our favorite thing to do, but we're going to do it.
Hey, and we have the Capital guys coming too.
That's unfortunate, but we're really excited. I think that what's great about the Southern California show is it's extraordinarily diverse. We have a tremendous variety of jerseys from the AHL to the NHL, vintage, modern day, and everything in between. And we have collectors that want to talk to people and help out and share the hobby. One of those people that's my absolute left hand or right hand or whatever we call it in this is Meli. She's obviously on here, and Meli makes the show what it is. She truly it was kind of my dream, and she's kept my insanity at bay and literally just done so many things behind the scenes to really make it what it is. And we're super excited. It's going to be a great time.
And you're hosted at where next Saturday? A week from this Saturday?
Yeah, it's March 1st in Santa Clarita, California. I'm sorry if I went over that too quickly. We're about 30 miles north of Los Angeles.
and then they can read if people want to come just check out the show with the tables all being sold out, but just come check it out. I believe you have a Facebook page for it. And where is the actual hall at?
Yeah, so we do have a Facebook page. It's SoCal Game Worn Expo. There's two of them, but one you'll see all the activity. We got hijacked. We had a Facebook hijacking. Meli saved the day with that as well. But anyways, you'll find the page. It's a group. Join the group. There's tons of information about the hotel, information about the show. But to answer your question again, the show hall itself is in a hotel. It's in an Embassy Suites. It's a beautiful facility. We have the entire banquet area and a private hallway, so it's safe and secure, and the public's absolutely welcome. And it's a huge room, and it's all set up, designed to showcase these amazing collections.
Wow, that's awesome. I'm glad that, again, no matter where these expos take place, is getting collectors to work together, get them done, no matter the size. It could be 2 tables, it could be 200. It's bringing people together, and it's getting people interested in this hobby and continuing to grow it. So yeah, it sounds like both you and Meli are just rocking it out there, and can't wait to see pictures from it. I hope you have an excellent turnout. And I know during the event, you always see people talking online of showing pictures or look what I found and all that. And we love that. No matter where we are in the world, be able to at least share a little bit of whatever expo is going on. So best of luck with that.
Thank you.
And just a week from Saturday. So please go support
maybe,
that.
Maybe Paul wants to go live a little bit or something that day.
We can talk to Doc about that.
We'll see if we can figure out. I have to move my mother that day into a different house, but depending on the timing, we can make something work. That night, and by that point, Expo is probably over. I have to host music bingo as a fundraiser for a bunch of people. So I'm
good for you.
Using all my fancy tech skills to do that. And my son is actually the main host with a hot pink suit on. So it'll be a good time. But yes, if we can pull that off, we will do it. So Michael, tell us a little bit about what you collect as well and how long you've been in the hobby.
Yeah, I appreciate you asking. So essentially, in a nutshell, I'm a vintage collector. So I don't have anything in my collection after 1999. And I have a very specific, really kind of I call it a time capsule, really. And that is from 1988, although I have a few jerseys earlier, and really through about 95, 96. And it's a tight window, but it's very nostalgic for me. And so it was in time where Gretzky had came to town, and we were all rollerblading, and we were all trying to play hockey, although none of us could. And it was magical. And some things happened in my life. I was in a car accident, and it kind of sent my life in a different direction where I stopped playing hockey. I kind of went a different thing. And so it left this time capsule, and I circled back to hockey, if you will, right around 2002, 2003. And I started to want to have a piece of that era. The Kings had changed their jerseys from the Chevy logo. That's what I collect mainly, is the Chevy years of LA Kings. And so I started just slowly getting these pieces. And because I was such a Kings fan, I collected the Chevy logos, and they were cheap. And it wasn't about any sort of investment. It was about holding on to a piece of this time capsule, this era that I cherished so much. And as years went on, and as I added to this collection, those memories became fonder, and that time capsule became something that I cherished more and more. And I kind of honed my sorry. That's right. Can you? Yeah, please. Sorry, everybody.
Oh, you're good.
So anyways, getting back. So fast forward, I started collecting these jerseys, these Kings. And then I started adding some players from other NHL teams of that same vintage era that kind of pinged that nostalgic feeling that we all can relate to as collectors. And so I'm kind of like the guy that has the iPad or the iPod rather, and he has the same 200-300 songs. That's me. I'm not on Spotify looking at new jerseys with cool patches and stuff. I love what I love, classic rock and roll, right? And that's my jersey envelope, window, time capsule. And so I'm constantly chasing that window, that era. and that's where I focus on.
And I think you're at least that I'm aware of, one of the first people I've talked to that has that such a tight focus that it's only this number of years and these kind of things. And I mean, there's probably some others out there, but it's interesting that you are just in that box and nowhere else. So in that box, what's your favorite?
I've got two, and they happen to be from the same player. It's crazy. So if my best jersey in my collection, I think, is I have Marty McSorley's 1986-87 home white jersey. And it's funny, you guys talk about how many games, this set, that set. So Marty McSorley that year wore one white jersey the entire season, the entire playoffs, the entire Stanley Cup Finals. So I have his home white jersey. It's photo matched the entire year. But what's cool is it's photo matched to him, with the Stanley Cup, with Messier and Gretzky. It's destroyed. The pilling is just ridiculous. It's literally coming out the other side of the jersey. You can feel the inner pilling on the outside. That's how heavy it is. It's literally like a teddy bear inside. I should have grabbed it, but that
he
is
cuddles
by
it.
far.
He cuddles it.
Well, it's just, and I've got it, pictures of him with the Stanley Cup and his dad. The pictures with Gretzky and the cup and McSorley, and it's and Messier. It's crazy. So that's probably my best jersey. I don't know if it's my favorite. So my second one that's right there, I own, for those that are familiar with Kings history, in 1993, we went to the Stanley Cup Finals. And sadly or infamously, I think I'm saying that word wrong, Marty McSorley got the illegal stick penalty. So for those people who don't know, the Kings were kind of well on their way to maybe establishing themselves and winning that Stanley Cup. The Montreal Canadiens called for a stick measurement against Marty McSorley, which was a very unheard of penalty to be even. Nobody even heard. I didn't even know it existed when it happened. They called the penalty. They took his stick. Montreal scores a goal. They go on to win the Stanley Cup Final. So, but in that jersey, McSorley in the playoffs fought Wendell Clark in this jersey. He ran Doug Gilmour in this jersey because they wore that set for the entire playoffs and the Stanley Cup Finals. So I have McSorley's road jersey for when he got the illegal stick penalty, and I have it, video matched to him assisting Gretzky on goals in the playoffs in the Stanley Cup Finals, scoring himself. So that's probably my favorite, and the other one is probably my best jersey.
Now, is there a particular one that is out there you're on the lookout for?
That's a really great question. So the inner focus of my hyper-focused collection is I collect the 93 Stanley Cup Finals jerseys. So the LA Kings wore one white jersey for the entire playoffs and the Stanley Cup Finals, and one black. So again, they had different sets throughout the year, 2 sets and 3 sets, but this playoff set went to the finals. So these jerseys are extremely special. Even though the Kings lost, they are by far my most coveted. And so any 93 finals, I pay a lot of money for them, and I buy them right up. I'll tell you the coolest thing about those jerseys real quick is in 1992-93, all teams wore the 100 commencement or celebration, rather, of the Stanley Cup. And so when the Kings went to the Stanley Cup Finals that year, there was a beautiful patch. And what they did is they sewed it right on top of the 100-year patch. So in these 93 final jerseys, if you turn them inside out, you can see the outline of the patch that all the teams wore. And on the outside, it's the Stanley Cup Finals patch sewn over it. And those patches are just majestic. They are things of beauty. Now I can't stand them. But anyways, again, I'm a vintage guy. But those are my most coveted, and I'm always looking out for those.
And that's fun. And we've seen that a few other teams. I know I've seen ones on the Hawks and some of their olders and some others where, they just covered right over the top of the patch. It's like, why bother pulling it off? The other patch covers it and just sew over it. And you're right, flipping it inside out and seeing what these teams did. It's cool just because it's not the modern stuff that you see. Yep, took the patch off and maybe you can see an outline. They're both there. So in previous pictures you can see that, and then the new ones with the cup. That's awesome. But yeah, anybody out there that has that kind of stuff they're looking to move, please reach out to Michael, because I know he would be extremely happy. All right.
And you got the Velcros too, right, Michael? Of
That's from
the
the 88-89 set. Yeah.
C's and
Robbie
the A's
Furturk
or
was Robbie Furturk was the coach of the Kings back in 88-89, and he did the Velcro where he would take the A and the C. So one of my other favorite jerseys, and I want to shut up. I want to hear from everybody
you're
else.
good.
But I have Dave Taylor. So in 88-89, everybody had the Velcro on their chest, or most of the jerseys. And again, they would put the A or the captain C. So in 88-89, only two people wore the captain's C, Gretzky and Dave Taylor. So I bought this Dave Taylor that had the Velcro C on it. And then later on, I mean, I bought it so long ago, nobody really looked. Well, I went and looked, and I photo matched the Velcro C to Gretzky wearing it half the season. So I have this Dave Taylor jersey that's destroyed from 88-89, but the C is totally photo matched to when Dave wasn't the captain and Gretzky was. It's just dead photo matched. So I have the Gretzky captain C from 88-89, his first year with the Kings.
Wow, that's such a cool thing because a lot of people go, "Oh, yep, Dave Taylor wore it. It's fine." But then you're like, then somebody like you to catch that, that's a whole new ball game with that because you've been able to link it other places. It's got even better story now.
Yeah, it's Gretzky, right? So I've got these great pictures of Gretzky with my C. It's pretty cool.
Man, that's phenomenal. All right,
Thank you.
Meli.
Yeah,
We'll start with Meli in the party room, by the way, for anybody that's not watching the video. Got cool party lights going on with the game in the background, and as of this moment while we're recording, it's tied 2-2 with just under 5 minutes to go in the second. So everybody, but
I'm trying not to be nervous for a game that's not supposed to matter.
Yeah, it matters.
Yeah,
it matters to me. It matters.
It matters.
Everybody's enjoying this series, and I love it. A lot of people, we talked before the show, some people were thinking early on when this was announced, I didn't know if people would get behind it. Holy hell, everybody has it. I love it. No. So, Meli, let's start with what you collect first, and then we'll get into some of the subjects you wanted to cover tonight.
Well, I started collecting probably when I was in my 20s. I'm 55 now. But I couldn't afford it I'm a teacher and I've been teaching now for 35 years. But when I started, I had just started teaching and I would buy my season tickets at the Forum, see the Kings, and I would take my students there different time, but their parents would let me take them to games. So I started looking at these jerseys, and these are the jerseys that Michael, has in his collection. But me in my 20s, I'm like, how do I get one of those? Like, I want one of those, And so I didn't know. So I went to the store, the different Isoplex and and I was like, I don't know how to get them. And then later on, I figured out that, if you kind of wait after and you talk to people and you start meeting, people, somebody has a jersey that somebody gave them and this and that and this stuff like that. So I started getting a few here and there. And then it was something out of my price range. I just couldn't do it at the time. And then the Kings moved to the Staples Center. And then at that time, I was able to have a little more money. So I was able to start collecting games at that time because that's when the Kings, it was back and forth. They were in charge of it. And then the Kings went to my grade and then my grade gave it back. And, so then, when I started having more money, I was able to buy little pieces here and there. And now that I'm almost near retirement, I have money to buy what I want. So now that I'm older, I wish I had the money now that then I would have been able to get some of the stuff. But once I decided that it was a hobby that I was going to stay in and something that I just love, I just started collecting newer things. And when I love the older things, but it was just too much. And I just felt like the money going out was just too much. And so I just kind of stayed with the newer thing. And then I decided, well, I started like looking to see what was available. And at first I just kind of went after my favorite players. And a lot of times I went for guys that weren't the most famous guys, more maybe the guys that people didn't really remember, or didn't really think about, or, I started getting those. And then, and then it just kind of went from there. And I once, like probably maybe about, I don't know, maybe about 10 years ago, I started getting into juniors and stuff. And I thought, well, wouldn't it be cool to start finding these guys as juniors? And then because everybody says, why don't you collect other NHL teams? And I always thought, to me, in my heart, it doesn't fit with me. Like, I don't have not one NHL jersey that's not the Kings. Like, I'm an LA Kings girl through and through. I don't even want anything in my jersey closet that's not the Kings, unless it's their AHL affiliate, an ECHL, or any kind of juniors or college. Like, that's okay, but not NHL. So I started meeting more people online, and I made an Instagram page that showcased my collection, because it just started growing and growing and growing. And then they started saying, hey, I have, such and such as juniors, or I had, this person's college or whatever. And then I just started getting really into juniors. But guys that collect juniors are so serious about it that it gets kind of crazy. And after a while, I was like, okay, I did it for a little bit, but it stressed me out. And you're investing a lot in junior stuff, hoping that they'll make it. But then when you back buy, you're spending a lot of money on something because they did become famous. So you get in this thing back and forth. So I did it for a while, and I still will get if somebody's like that, I collect their juniors, I'll get it if I feel the price is right. But I have some really nice collection in right now. Like, I have like Dustin Brown's juniors, I have Justin Williams juniors, I have I don't know, that was just my thing. And a lot of people want them. Like, I know Michael wants my Williams juniors Plymouth Whalers.
It would
But
be the only junior I've ever owned. I've never owned a junior's jersey in my life. And I don't even know why I want that one. I would probably sell it back to you 3 months later because it's a junior and
hammered.
it's not a vintage. But I do like that jersey.
Yeah, but it's hammered. That's why you're like,
That's
so
good one.
but my stuff's newer. My stuff's newer. A lot of my friends that collect the same thing I collect, a lot of times we trade with each other and kind of do those things. But I noticed right away that when we first did the first expo in the tiny room, Michael, I forget, our very first one was right before COVID hit. And I brought my collection, and I felt weird because everybody's was vintage, these amazing player. And I thought, well, my collection sucks because it's not even like, it's not a lot of history yet. It's just, it's newer, but then as the expos have grown and we've gotten bigger and bigger, now I'm starting to notice, okay, everybody kind of has their niche. And like, I'm the newer collector of like my stuff's more new, but they know like that's my gig, so. And like, people know Michael's is the Chevys, and like Johnny, he does Colorado, and he's got the Kings, and they go after the big guys, the big players. I don't do that. I only go for my favorite Kings players, and then their respective juniors or college or whatever that is. And I like to buy and trade and stuff, and it's just such a fun hobby for me. And all the people I meet and all of my friends have just been so supportive and just really into it.
And that's one of the big things is, don't, if you're a new collector, whatever you are afraid to show at an expo or even show off to other people, you collect whatever you collect because that's the thing you like. If you like a particular player, if you want to focus on third or fourth liners, whatever you do, that's your thing. It still brings us all together because it's the same hobby. Okay, one guy's got nothing but Gretzky's or nothing but Stanley Cup jerseys, and somebody else has only fourth liners that may, between all of them, played 20 games. So what? It's still a jersey that was worn in the NHL, and that's what brings us together.
Well, one of the neat things that at the expo every year, when people come and they visit, they always come to my tables, and I always see young players like kids that are on like the Junior Kings or the Lions or whatever. They come and they see my jerseys and they're like, oh my gosh, that's Kempy's jersey, or that's his, the new whatever. There's Dustin Brown's jerseys. There's Jarrett Stoll, whatever I have on there, Jake Muzzin. I got Stanley. I do have a couple of. I have a 2012 and a 2014 away Stanley Cup Finals jerseys. I do have that. I have a Mike Richards and I have a Justin Williams. Now, I don't have a home, but I do want to get like one home of each. But, that wasn't my niche. I just wanted to have at least one. But when the young people come, I said, try them on, like touch them. I don't like, I'm like, do. And so it brings joy to young people's faces because when they put it on, they're putting on Kempy's jersey that he wore, and you could just see they're elated and they're taking pictures with their parents are taking pictures of them in it. And even a couple weekends ago at the NorCal show, the tournament that was going on, I got to meet a bunch of the little junior kings people were in, and I got two twins, two girls came, and they were just foofing and foffing over the Turcotte jersey. And so because the young people are going to relate to the players right now. They're unless their parents really get them into the history, but they were so excited over the newer players. So I think there is a niche for collectors like myself because the young people are going to look at those,
Yeah, and no offense to Michael's amazing collection, as the young kids are going to walk by those and go, "Who the hell are those guys?"
Oh, it happened in the Bay Area when we went to the NorCal show. Nobody was interested in anything I had, and I have to tell you, I enjoyed seeing that. And the reason is because the fact is, it really does take everybody's collections and everybody from different walks of life and different jerseys and different things. Earlier Paul was talking about these nameplates for this tournament and how they collected them, and he held one up and he was like, "I'm glad I have one for my collection." And just that alone pings him where it may not for me, but it doesn't matter because if we all have, I always say we all have some weird strand of DNA. All of us collectors, we have a weird, if you're not a collector, you don't have that DNA. You don't have some genetic code. So I think it's great to hear what Meli's what Meli enjoys and Wade and Paul and frankly every collector. As you said so eloquently, Jason, it's about everybody.
I think it's the conversations too, and you meet and you talk to so many people, and it's like joyful, and you just talk about passionate things, and it all comes down to hockey, and it's fun to hear stories and see people smile. I think that's one of the most, for me, that's what I like.
And part of with especially with the NorCal there and having that hockey tournament with all those young kids, they're into hockey, so they're paying attention to the Kings, the Sharks, the Ducks, things like that. And like you said, they knew those players because they're playing right now. And it gives them a connection to that because, oh my God, that was on the ice. He had it on. I got to put it on, all those things. But then it may open the door for those kids down the road, either to talk their parents in if they have the money because they're playing hockey. They probably do. To track, maybe get them a gamer and get them hooked into the hobby. As we all know, it only takes one. And
just like a tattoo, right?
Now, I do have to clarify with Michael just a little bit here. There are two jerseys on your table I was extremely interested in. You know which two I'm referring to.
I tried to make a deal with you. I tried to make a deal with you. You could have gone over to your buddy and made that work right then and there. I thought we had it. I thought we had it dialed in.
Well, we'll all be there in LA, so we got time. We got that. We're in no rush.
There's an X Factor. His name is Mitch. So we've
heard of him.
Mitch.
We'll get him Coors Light. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
Oh God, that's right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So before we get into, I promise we'll get to the actual topics that Meli wanted to cover. But one more question before we get to that is, what is your favorite out of all your stuff?
I probably have two, and they're not the ones you would have think. One is the Youngstown Phantoms did a cancer hockey fights cancer a few years ago, where you could bid on it. I think it was on Dash Auctions, and the player would wear your name on their jersey for like 2 periods or something. And I saw it on there, and I thought that's really cool. And I won the jersey for like $100 or like it was like $100 or $200. So this kid by the name of John Beaton, he wore Maturina, my last name, which there's no hockey player ever to have my name, and will never have my name. So I don't have that luxury where some people go, oh, I collect my last name. Nobody's gonna have Maturina because my name's like super rare. It's just not. Yeah, and so he wore it and he scored a goal in it. And
Oh,
so I was so excited, and I'm a cancer survivor. So I got that jersey and I wear it all the time at the expos and stuff because it's the only jersey that has my name on it that somebody wore on the ice in a real game and scored a goal. So that's probably one of my favorites. And then I have a second one. That's a Spokane Chiefs. Jared Anderson Dolan is a kid that I collected for a long time when he was our prospect, King's prospect, that I really thought was going to take off, but he just didn't take off in LA. I don't know what happened, but his moms are my friends, and wonderful family, and she helped me get his third. It's a blue third home when he was a captain on the Chiefs when he was lighting it up, and he wore that jersey when they auctioned it on my birthday, and she called me, and I was at my and she called me and she said, do you want to get his jersey? They're doing a raffle, and it's hard to get Spokane Chiefs jerseys. They're just really really hard to get. I don't know if you guys, and their crest is gorgeous. It's like really like intricate, and I said, are you kidding me? She's like, no, I'm here and I will bid on it if you want it. And because it was Jad's mom, they didn't bid up the jersey.
Oh,
And
wow.
I mean, it was a little, but she was so sweet. And here we're texting each other, and she's like, "Do you want it?" I said, "Yes." And I was so excited. She won the auction. She got the blue captain Spokane Chief jersey, and he signed it to me. He said to Meli from Jad or whatever. And so that's my second favorite jersey, and I will never part with those two. Those are just super special to me.
oh, and
Can
I
I,
think we all have at least one that's like that. Go ahead, Michael.
can I say something? Melly, those two stories are the best two stories of any. You beat my 20 or whatever year career of story. I don't have any good. I mean, that was like both of your stories. It's funny. I was going to interrupt you after your first story and say, don't even tell me your second one because the first one's so great,
I know,
and the
and
second
that
one's
young
almost as good,
man.
maybe better. Those are great.
Yeah.
That is what this whole thing is about. I don't have any good stuff. And man, you got me beat.
And that young man, that John Beaton boy, I think he went on to college or so. I don't know what he did, but he has no idea how special that jersey is to me. He probably has no idea.
Best stories ever.
Yeah.
Best stories ever.
And the final question is what is something you're looking for that listeners can keep an eye out for you?
I love to collect Dustin Brown. That's my boy. And Luke Robitaille, but that's Michael knows he has my grail of all grails. But I don't collect the old, so I mean, I don't know. Michael knows. But Luke is my
Might
man,
have a
and
jersey she wants. I don't know.
Luke is my man, but Dustin Brown is my second man. So I love Brownie. All my collector buddies, that they're all Brownie collectors too. You all know who you are. And we all like try to get the Brown jerseys. But yeah, anything Dustin Brown. I like, any juniors of guys that played for the Kings or college, but they have to have spent some, had to be affiliated with the Kings. Like that I did. Like before, I love college jerseys. I started buying a bunch, and I just was like, I'm getting crazy. This is crazy. So I had to get rid of them because I had to pick the college guys that were part of the Kings organization. Otherwise, it just doesn't fit. It's just too many. And I don't have, I mean, I made my jersey closet. It's like double reinforced with the metal poles and everything. And I was just like, okay, I'm running out of room and this isn't working. So I ended up getting rid of all the college stuff that doesn't relate to the Kings. Like, as long as it relates to the Kings, I love it.
Well, hopefully we can help you out a little bit. There's some things you wanted to cover. Some of it kind of has to do with the expo. So, and new collectors. So why don't we get into that a little bit?
Okay. Well, I have an Instagram. It's called These Jerseys Are Hersies with little underscores. These
That
underscore
name is
jerseys are
amazing,
Hersies.
by the way.
Yeah. I figured I better make a jersey Instagram because I think my regular friends all my teacher friends, they don't really do that stuff. So on my regular Instagram, I don't think people want to see all my jerseys. So I ended up making a page, and it was the best thing ever because I networked and made just the most amazing met the most amazing humans and that have been my friends now for a long time. And one of the neat things is when new young collectors have questions, they message me all the time, and it's just so fun because from all over, local, Canada, all over the United States, and they ask me like simple questions like, "Hey, what is it? What do you do at an expo? What should I bring? What do I need to do? Is it okay if all of these things?" And I always tell them, it's not a dumb question you're asking. Just ask me and I'll help you, because I think sometimes you get a little anxious maybe. And I don't remember, I mean, the first expo we did, Michael, was right before COVID, and I think we were just
Right.
talking about just bringing like we just brought stuff, and I happened to have a couple mannequins. I think that's just how we did it that time. But now, after the NorCal show, I got some inspiration, and I actually this year I am changing my setup. So I have a really cool brand new setup this year. So Michael doesn't even know what it's going to look like yet, but I'm very excited about it. But to get back to the questions that people ask is, what do I need to do? And I tell them, well, the tables at the art expo are like 6 feet long, and you can bring as little or as much as you want. But if you want to show it off, you should have a few displays of maybe your most favorite, or it doesn't have to be the most valuable, but just maybe your most favorite that'll strike up conversations. And so then they ask like, well, what do I buy? Like, do I have to get a mannequin? How would I make them, pop out, or like, and I said, well, if you don't have the money, you can just fold them on the table. I know that's not as exciting, but you could still have conversations and people could lift the jerseys up and like that. But, it's kind of nice to have, at the minimum, you could buy those t-shirt, what are they called? T-shirt stands, right? Is that what you call them? What are they called?
Just the chest ones,
Yeah,
the real
just
basic.
the basic, just the tea stands. They're like
Yeah,
tea stands. So I'm like, if you're on a budget, I would get, four or five tea stands, because, the shoulders are going to hit each other. So, it's only 6 feet, so I always get two tables because I like to do it up, but I go, if you're going to get one table, you want to showcase, maybe four things on a stand, or four or five, and then you could fold the other things down. You could bring a Z rack, or a simple little clothing rack for things maybe you want to move, or you're willing to sell, or maybe stuff you just want people to flip through to make trades or things like that. And sometimes they don't want to. Sometimes people, they don't want to sell anything. They just want to show something. And I said, that's fine too. You don't have to sell. You don't have to do one or the other. You could do, because I think sometimes people think they have to take stuff to sell. And I said, you don't have to sell, because that's, you could just show. And I think they want to know, is there a tablecloth? Do I get are there chairs? What time do I have to get there? Just all kinds of questions. I mean, we could probably have an FAQ to answer them all, I think.
yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Jess.
No, I say I'll let you go first, Michael. Go ahead.
I was just going to briefly add to what Melly said. I mean, look, what it is, the spirit behind it is come one, come all. Some people love to have big creative displays. Some people don't. Some people bring a lot of jerseys. Some people bring a few. But it is just the act of coming and making friends and networking and talking to people and learning about the hobby, and of course sharing the hobby. And I will just say to what Melly was talking about as far as like new collectors, I don't want to embarrass Melly, but Melly just happens to be one of the nicest human beings on the planet, who luckily is in our hobby. And that's just fact. And so what's cool about this hobby is that there are lots of people like Melly that are welcome new collectors and are a wealth of information, who really just want to share the joy that clearly it brings her. I mean, I've been sitting here and enjoying being part of this podcast, but my favorite part is watching Melly smile as she's been talking the whole time. You know what a wonderful person. Sorry to keep embarrassing you, but the hobby itself, it just brings out this joy, and it's a lot of fun, and no better ambassador than Melly.
And you're Michael, I don't think anybody could have said it better because we all want to be welcoming. And if people are reaching out to you and you're going the extra mile and trying to make sure that you're trying to make them comfortable. And like we talked a little bit even before the show started is how nervous some of the people are about coming or bringing stuff or whatever. It's just a fun get together. Yeah. I mean, if you just lay the jerseys on the table because that's what you have, great. I mean, nobody's going to walk up to your display and go, yeah, that's one's ugly or that sucks.
Yes.
It's showing off jerseys however you're doing it.
Right. Yeah. Well, I just tell them not to worry. And I think it's because, they're intimidated to have those discussions on the Facebook pages because I think maybe they think it's going to be bad. I don't know. But I just like, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? People are going to say what they're going to say, but I think they feel like if they ask in a safe space, and then once like this actual expo is so awesome because we have so many collectors that this is the first time where there's some people that I have wanted them to show off their collections because their collections are similar to mine and they just haven't done it. Like all these years, they just keep going, oh, next year, oh, next year, oh, next year. And I really went out and I said, you need to get a table. And so here I am on Instagram because we're just talking like regular Jersey talk about, who got what auction or like, I was talking about this earlier, this one that we just got from the LAFD auction. And all my friends were like, you got it, you got one, how is it? How's the crest? Blah, blah, blah. And I said, hey, by the way, do you have a table at the expo? They're like, oh, well, I don't know. I don't know if I should, or what do I need to do? And so like, I got probably about 4 new collectors to come this year. I think I'd have to look at the list, but I got 4 guys that have amazing collections that have never bothered to come. So this is their very first time. So I'm very excited for them. And I told them that they could put their tables kind of near my table so that we could talk and visit and stuff. So, they wouldn't have like a social anxiety, which people have. And I told them I get like that too, even though I'm a school teacher and, I'm always talking and doing all this stuff, sometimes I get social anxiety too. So I get it, not anymore because I know everybody, but I could see it being intimidating, at the show with all these collectors. Here's Michael with his finals jerseys and McSorley's this and that, and Gretzky C. But, I told them, it's okay, just bring, and I think they're going to be so excited that pretty soon this room is not going to be big enough for us anymore.
And that's really a problem to have is if you continue to grow like that. But and the other thing is too, is you mentioned the anxiety in that. And part of it is too, is just the first time going to an expo, it's sensory overload. I mean, during setup, during just walking around, taking in what everybody has, you may walk the room 6 times, and every time you go around a room, you're finding something new or oh, I didn't see that jersey before because it takes time to take it all in. And you don't have to be a collector that started 3 months ago. There's collectors that been in it years, and it happens to all of us just because there's so much to take in. Enjoy that. I mean, stand in the corner or just stand somewhere and just kind of take a breath and look around. Just nobody's going to make fun of you or anything. We're all here to have fun.
That was one of the things why I said, and thanks to Paul with his expo that they had, they gave us the little name badges. And I thought, you know what? We need to do that from now on because it's important to know who's showing, who's involved, and then who's the guest, so we can tell the difference and then make sure we know everybody's names. So I told Michael, we need to get on this. And, thanks to Paul and everything. And Michael said, yes, take care of it. I think the quote was,
I'm a delegator.
I think the quote was, you're the girl. Take care of it.
I delegate for a living. I have to be honest with you. I got to look. Hey, name badges look great. You don't want me making name badges, Meli. You make the name badges. You can imagine.
But so, that's what he said. You're the girl. You're
the girl.
Take care of it.
So, I can't say enough about what Meli's done for the
This is brand new. So this is first time. These are
look at that.
These are going to be our lanyards right here.
I get to
Wow.
take credit for them because I told her to do it.
That is
I didn't
cool.
even. So
So every
look what I
collector
did.
will every collector's going to get this. This is brand new for this year. The SoCal Game World Expo, Jersey Expo lanyard with a very nice clip, and they're going to have them. But the reason when he's talking about walking around, it's important. Like if you can bring your significant other or your BFF or whoever, that way they can kind of stay by your collection to answer questions and whatnot. And then you can kind of make the rounds too, because it's kind of like a wedding, when you're the one getting married and you never get to enjoy it because you're too busy going to everybody. You never get to see the rest of the wedding. That's kind of how the expo is. You want to be able to get around and mingle as well. So that's why I said if we do the badges, then your +1 can also have a badge, and then that way we know who's involved and who's watching what. And we all watch each other's collections, so it's safe and everything. But I figured that would be a cool thing to do. So we're kind of it's only took 5 years, Michael, for us to figure out to do the name tags. But thanks, Paul, for the
You're
inspiration.
welcome. And walking around and talking to people, I mean, that's the best part of the expo. I mean, it's great to see the jerseys and all that, but it's just the relationships you make there, catching up with friends, old and new. It's special, and I'm looking forward to the show in a little bit over a week. That's gonna be a lot of fun down there.
Right, and we're actually this time we're getting food without getting in trouble too, huh, Michael?
Yeah, we have a catered lunch. It's going to be great,
Yeah.
and we're really excited about the show, and we're excited about the future of the show. We're looking to expand and build every single year. We've done that every year. This is our biggest expansion year. By far, I'm more excited this year than any other previous years. We have more, as I mentioned earlier, just a diverse collection, a diversified group of collectors coming in, and looking forward to this year and next
And two,
beyond.
it's a lot of times I think it's great because it's not, I mean, yes, it's kings, but a lot of the collectors don't just obviously collect kings.
Oh, we
We
have
got
everything.
the
Yeah,
capital
we have
guys, we
everything.
got the
We have
flash guy, we
everything.
got the teal guys coming, so there's a nice mix of all kinds of collectors, not just kings.
Oh, yeah. I mean, almost from we will have jerseys from every NHL team. I guarantee you that.
Yes.
I mean, I'm bringing, my Kings, but then I have a bunch of, non-Kings NHL, some good stuff that I'll be displaying. And again, I mean, it between all the jerseys there, it is going to be one of the finest displays of game worn jerseys. Again, certainly on the West Coast and in the country.
And again, we can't wait to see pictures of that. And just, I hope it sounds like you guys have this amazing setup, and I really can't wait to see it. I know everybody's going to have a blast.
Thank you.
So however you're doing this expo or any, again, take it in, enjoy. And if you're unsure, don't be pressured if you're showing stuff off. It's like, oh, I'd really want to trade or buy that. If you really don't want to move it, say, hey, I just brought stuff to show. Okay. Nobody's gonna jump you about it or whatever. Work at your comfortability level.
I actually come with nothing I always come every year with I'm not moving anything, but I always end up moving something.
Everything's for sale. Everything's for trade.
Well, that's you,
Everything.
Michael. Michael
No,
says everything.
that's you too. Oh, bullshit.
No,
Oh, come
no,
on.
not
I can get
everything.
anything out of that closet. Anything
No,
I want.
No, not my two
All
that
right.
I talked
All
about.
right.
But you're right. Like, I mean, it would have to be like big money on some of my stuff because a lot of my like Dustin Brown stuff, all the brownie collectors, we all want each other's brown stuff. So like, I know that I could move some of that stuff that I have of his for a lot, but I don't want to. I love it. So I'm
I
like,
get it.
no. So I mean, it would have to take a miracle for me to move my Dustin Brown stuff. Like I just
That's all right. I know there's a Konstantinov jersey I'm going to grab before that, so don't worry.
Good luck with that, Michael.
I know that. We're talking about a jersey that's never going anywhere. That's a beautiful, beautiful shirt. One of my favorite of yours for sure.
Thank you.
So if anybody's a new collector and you want to write to me on Instagram, I'll help you out. If you need help
She's the
with
best.
anything, if you
She's
need
the
help,
best.
if you're local, I can help you even figuring out how to do your displays. I love that kind of stuff. And because the only at the NorCal show is what really made me rethink my whole setup. Like, I'm super excited. I'm excited because my setup is brand new this year, and I actually sold off my mannequins. I
All
sold them to
right. Well,
set.
we're excited to see it.
Yeah.
We're
So
excited to see
yeah,
it.
yeah. So I'm super excited. I think this is going to be
It'll be the
the
best
whole
year
thing
ever.
is, yeah, to me it's like I want to showcase some of my favorite things, but utilize the space in the best way possible. That's how I teach math. So I wanted to utilize the space without it looking cluttered, but I want it to look nice. So I think I finally figured it out.
See, Melly's figured out the show. I figured out life. I'm dating a teacher. So Melly's got her shit together, and now I'm dating a teacher. Suddenly, everybody thinks I have my shit together, which is completely not true. Um, Listen, I do have to run along, guys. I really appreciate you having me on your podcast. I've had a great time, and I will just again say that all of you are amazing ambassadors to this hobby, and it's so much fun. And for those of whether those listeners are new or been around a long time, we hope to see you at the SoCal show. We're super excited.
We will definitely touch base after it's over, Michael. Let's find out how it went. And again, best of luck the week
Thank you.
Saturday, March 1st. So please, if you have questions, you're looking to come or whatever, reach out to Michael, reach out to Meli. Michael, we'll let you go. Thank you so much, and we'll talk again
Thanks,
soon.
guys. I appreciate everybody. Have a
Oh,
great night.
Michael.
Thank you for having me. I
Michael.
really appreciate it. Be well.
And then Meli, you wanted to cover a little bit too on jersey pricing. You still want to touch on that tonight?
Yeah. Um, I don't even know if this is a hot topic or not, but I know each NHL team does their auctions. I know the Kings Care Foundation does auctions all the time. Every game they're selling something. And with meeting new collectors, I have had to explain to them the difference between the prices you pay, for a foundation price, on the auction, on comparing something like a warm up, which now they don't wear them, so it's like hallway worn or whatever it is. The price you pay for that is because you're getting a tax write off, and you're spending money for a good cause, but you're never going to get that money back. And new collectors message me in an uproar all the time because they want, like, if they spent $1,200 on, let's say a Hockey Fights Cancer warm up, $1,500, $1,600, then they want to sell it for $1,500, $1,600, which I know that topic has come up many times over the years, but now they're not even wearing it on the ice anymore. And for collectors that only collect from auctions like that, like warm up stuff, they don't understand that those jerseys aren't that coveted. Like, they're special maybe because you're a cancer survivor, or maybe you took your kid to their first game that game, and there might be sentimental reasons, but nobody's going to want to, unless it's like a player that's just a marquee player. You're not going to get that. And I have to field so many questions from auction collect. I mean, I don't know what to call it, because some people just collect the things that are sold in auctions, I guess.
Yeah. So you're onto a really good point, and I think it's a great point, because I actually had this conversation with somebody today, and I call those are fan collectors more than they are hobby collectors in a lot of those cases. And we've seen that over the years with specialty jerseys. And I actually bite into it now because I collect some of our AHL teams' specialty jerseys. They're one game jerseys. I know I'm overpaying for them at the time of purchase, and I know that that's not the realistic value of them, but I enjoy them, right? So as a hobbyist, I have an understanding of that. The problem is, and what you're getting into is 1,000% true. There's a big difference between auction values and a real retail value on some of this stuff on the secondary market, especially when you talk about warm-up jerseys and specialty jerseys. Unless it's something that really holds favor in a community, the next year's one is going to sell for a bunch, and then the years before are forgotten, especially when players leave or when people's attachment to them change. It's definitely something we see a lot of. And you're right. And it's one of those things that educating new collectors on that is terribly important. I joke around. I actually made a comment to a friend the other day that I've got some jerseys that I would put out for sale, but nobody's buying them secondarily from people or paying fair prices for them. And I joked that it would be really nice if I could get one of the teams to put them back in their auction, because then they'd get all kinds of bids. People would love them again, right?
Yeah.
And that's a fact. I mean, like, God, there's jerseys I haven't heard from the Blues that are duplicates or whatever, that if I put them in our Blues group or on the main page and tried to sell them, I wouldn't even get sniffs. But if that jersey somehow recycled itself back into the Blues Give Smart auction, it would get 10 bids on it and sell for twice as what I want for it. And that's the craziest part of this hobby. And that's why, like, man, if you're collecting to invest, you're kind of making a mistake. You collect because you love it, collect because,
Right.
because it's your passion. If your end game is accumulation of value, you better go buy stocks or gold, not hockey jerseys.
Right. So I think the one thing is, you're right. There's people that they only know just that one thing. So like, let's say they're selling, like, sometimes, the Kings sell off different sets, that's different. And, if it has wear on it and it's like that, maybe somebody buys those. But when they have the ones where all the players, whatever the specialty thing is or whatever, I had a new friend was selling some different ones, and I said, "Ooh, I want to get because I'm a sucker for Star Wars, the Star Wars ones, and I'm a sucker for the cancer, Hockey Fights cancer ones, and the Dodger ones, which they're never going to do again. So when those pop up, I kind of grab those, So this one person was selling some, and so I said, I'll take those, and I didn't really barter much with them at all because I figured, well, whatever, I'll just get them. And then I was kind of trying, they were saying, well, I'd like to sell these other ones. And I said, well, you probably won't get that much for those. And so that made me think about it. And they said, well, you spent this on that. I go, yeah, but that's just because I'm a sucker and I wanted those. But for the most part, you're not going to get it. And so then they don't understand what that means. I said, but you did get the tax write-off on it. And so it's kind of like driving the car off the lot, like a new car. When you drive a new car off the lot, it's once you get it, it's done. And so I go, so let's say you spend $1,500 or, Kings, I don't know how the other teams are, but the Kings ones just go for absurd amount of money. Like they're so high all the time. And so people that only collect those, they want, so I think that's why on the pages, when they put them up and they ask for that amount of money, it's just crickets, because everybody knows, like nobody's going to pay that for that, And so then I have to teach them, like, do you want to get into the game worn thing? Because this is who you need to talk to. You need to start going into the game worn part of the LA Kings, not the Kings Care, just the auction stuff. And then they're like, oh, what does that mean? And then you kind of send them that way. And then that opens up a whole new can of collecting, But I think that a lot of times there's collectors that just have that one type, and they don't understand or even how to get something else.
No, and that's part. And I've talked. Wade's had conversations with people the last few days. Ironically, I have as well, with pricing and values and things like that. And in stuff that's 2017, 2018 on somewhere in there, I have my spreadsheets I've made of all the Blues auctions, and be it the regular game jerseys, the specialty jerseys, all that. And I've tracked all that pricing. So it's really easy to see. Because I had somebody ask, hey, this person's selling this jersey at this price. Can you tell me what it sold for at the auction? I look through, find that, and I'm like, okay. And he's been with the team 3 seasons now, and his jersey averages about $700 is all, and they want $1,000 for that. It's not going to work. I mean, unless the player's just doing something crazy right now that's made him more hot, the value is not there. So at least in my case, and I didn't really necessarily start that way. I was more just curious. Originally was going to keep it to myself. So when I was bidding on things, I kind of knew where I would spend, but sharing it out there, a lot of people have been really happy with that. And then people constantly reach out. Hey, I find this one. What's it sell for? What do you think it's worth? Okay, well, it sold in this auction for that, whatever it is. But yes, most of that, unless it's really a star player or they're doing something big, you're rarely going to get what you paid for most of them.
Right. It's really hard. Even like I had a Kopitar military that I couldn't give away. And I had to
Yeah.
bundle it. And somebody said, I'll buy it from you if I can get you this or that. And that's how I ended up unleashing, because I don't collect Kopi. And so I had to get, I wanted the Dustin Brown military. So I had to get the Kopi at the same time because the seller
Yeah.
only sold them together. So then I go, oh, I'll sell Kopi. I couldn't give it away. And so I'm
Yeah.
like, well, I don't collect Ange, so I need to do something with it. And then the only way I could get rid of it was bundling it myself and going, and that was Kopitar. I mean,
Yeah.
nobody even wanted Kopitar. So it's like, come on, these things are really hard to resell. So when I buy from those auctions, I'm doing it for the cause, for the tax write-off, and because I really want that. And I know that I'm pretty much going to keep it in the collection or give it away for a present to somebody or something, because, you're really not going to get anything for it.
Yeah.
But I don't think new people understand that. And coming
like-
to the pages, they don't even know the pages exist on Facebook. They only know eBay, and they know auctions. They don't really know that there's all these specialty groups in Facebook, which is one of the reasons why I keep Facebook to begin with, is just for my sports and collecting. I mean, that's really why I keep it, for the groups and stuff, because I don't, I really use Instagram more for everything,
Yeah.
No, but it's like Wade said too, especially if you're a year or two removed off a player who's moved on to another team, retired, whatever it is. Most, unless you're a deep collector, really like that guy, even collectors and fans especially don't care or have moved on and forgot all about him. So when you have a guy that's traded or whatever, the value, unless there was something really big attached or did something huge in that particular jersey, the values really drop off. And some people may argue with that, but I've seen a number of ones pop up that people originally were asking for medium to high dollar for, and now they're $200 to $300 because everybody's like, who the hell's that guy? When was he with the team?
Well, I mean, you look at a guy, you can look at a guy who is a semi-star player in 16, 17, 18, 19. And if they're no longer with the team, they no longer playing, they no longer have the same following in your city, they're going to, the value just changes, right? And I'm going to give you guys a great example of it. Like David Backus left, went and played in Boston, went and kind of played a couple places, Anaheim, whatever. And for a while, like, you really couldn't give away a David Backus jersey, right? And then he retired. He's a former captain, and he kind of like, people realized they liked him, and he popped back up, and the value went back up on him, right? Because suddenly there weren't a ton of them out there. People realized they really liked him. He reconnected with St. Louis a little bit. But that's the exception, not the rule. You throw a guy out, I'll throw a similar guy out. You throw out a Kevin Shattenkirk. Great player, ran around the NHL for a while, star player, top tier player for a number of years, was a big fan favorite in St. Louis, and there were a number of people that collected him. But right now, he doesn't have that same get here in St. Louis. So the value that you paid for a Kevin Shattenkirk jersey in 2018 versus what it's worth now is a whole lot different than a guy who's a former captain and a guy who could probably get his number retired here at some point, being David Backus. Sorry, I went off on a tangent.
No,
That's okay.
not a tangent at all. It's a great example.
Yeah. I mean, so like those just, and you guys probably do the same thing in the Kings. There's probably, a guy like, there's guys like Kopitar that or Doughty, or there's guys that were just tied to your team that are forever going to have a certain value. And there's other guys that probably came through there that were star players or that people liked, and now they're gone and they're forgotten, right?
Yeah.
And that value just changes.
Did you guys think that? I thought that maybe because they weren't going to be wearing them on the ice anymore, that maybe they'd be a little more affordable, but the prices didn't change at all, at least for the Kings.
Yeah,
they stayed the same.
Yeah,
Absolutely
I think what
the
happens, those are fan collectors more than they are collectors. And usually the people buying, like, for instance, the cancer ones, those are usually people that have a tie to the cause. Same thing with the military ones. I think it's less about the player or the use, and it's more about the cause in those cases.
Right.
The thing I've seen in St. Louis is, like, they started expanding a lot of the specialty jerseys. I know we were doing like a Mardi Gras jersey for a couple years, and they had, Cardinals ones, like you guys had Dodgers ones for a while, and then those kind of died back out. If you've noticed that a lot of those theme night warm-up jerseys are kind of starting to die back to a few smaller causes, because I don't think that the teams feel like they have the same impact the jersey wise. They can do just as much doing a theme night in-house and giving away a t-shirt and selling more t-shirts or specialty stuff than just bothering having to put together 30 jerseys, because the touch isn't the same.
Mm-hmm. Right around the COVID time, there's a story that about the Dodger jerseys. They had these really cool mashups they did for a few years in a row with the Kings, and the story was that the Dodgers put said no more because they were putting Dodgers on Adidas jerseys.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Actually, makes sense.
Yeah, like the Dodgers, it'd be Dodgers, and then here's an Adidas thing, and so right before COVID hit, they did a last run of gray ones, and they never even wore them. And that's it. And they've never made them again. So I think the Dodgers said, no, you're not going to put the Dodgers name on other things, So that's why those jerseys, I think, are those warm-ups. I like those. So and Mitch knows, because Mitch has the Giants ones, and we always take pictures together with them, But I don't know. Do the Sharks do Giants ones anymore?
I haven't followed the warm-ups that closely. I don't remember them doing a Giants or a 49ers one for a while, for a number of years ago.
I think somebody came in and put a kibosh on all of it.
Yeah, the Blues did it. The Blues did it as far as the Cardinals actually wore Blues jerseys for batting practice at one point. So it got that far here in St. Louis.
And then you'd have the run of the practice jerseys with the Cardinals logo on it. So it's kind of every season you'd see them swap one. Yeah. I don't remember the last year they've done it. It's been several for that too.
Yeah, so I bet you maybe they put it on all the
maybe
teams.
Maybe MLB stepped in and said, no.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So those are a little coveted, a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. They don't pop up a lot if people have them.
Uh-huh.
So that's great.
What I found interesting with the warm-up jerseys, back when they were worn, and they'd auction them off, they'd go for good money, and a lot of the regular Sharks collectors would end up with one or two of them.
Yeah.
And so not surprising. Now that they're not worn, not too many of the regular game-worn Sharks collectors bid on them or win many of them. But the pricing still seems to be about the same, which, it is interesting. We've removed that element of the game-worn collectors not buying them now, or buying very, very few of them. And the pricing still has remained pretty solid in those. Yeah. And I mean, that's good, because it is for the charity. It is a fundraiser. And, it's, with those jerseys, so it's, it has to be said, when you're bidding on those, that better be something you want in your collection. Yeah. Because as Meli has pointed out very clearly, you're not going to get anywhere close to what you've invested in them.
No, absolutely not.
And it's, I mean, if you're bidding on them, it's something that better stay, you better want to stay in your collection or to gift to someone. But
yeah, and a couple of years ago, the Star Wars ones the Kings put out were amazing, and they haven't ever done that again either. I have two now, but the Star Wars ones are just fantastic. I mean, I don't even care if they ever wore them. They're just, because I'm a Star Wars nerd, so I had to get it.
That was the Kings, not the Reign. Wow.
No, the Kings, man. Somebody just did, and they had the patches and the Empire and the Rebels, and it had the date, and then they made the crest have it looks like the galaxy, and it says, I mean, it's really cool. But they never made it again. So
I wonder if part of it was licensing with Disney/Lucas on it too, because I bet you're paying a decent amount to license that, to throw those on those jerseys too.
Yeah, and they even attached on the twill, it's like the R and the S of the players' names. If it goes with the Star Wars, the way the logo goes, they made the boys' names like that too.
Wow,
it's really cool. But they never did it again. And that was in 22. They did that. So now, to me, I like to get the cancer jersey, and I like the military because my father was in the military. So. And he's passed away, so I like to get a military one if it's okay. But this year they made them look like they all look like kind of like Vegas-y gold, like they're golden kind of. this year.
Yeah.
Did you notice that? So like a lot of the Kings people were like, "Why are you wearing Vegas stuff?" And I was like, "It's not a Vegas jersey." But did you notice that this year's military? It's kind of golden and black.
Yeah, ours was the entire
Yeah.
league had that, and I thought it was kind of that. Yeah, why they mixed that in? Once I looked at them and kind of took a step back, I was impressed with them. I thought they actually looked very good.
I
So
liked them, but
design
I didn't
stuff
think
has looked
Vegas
very
till
nice.
I didn't think Vegas until a couple of people stopped me and my spouse and said, "We're wondering why you were cheering for the Kings if you're wearing Vegas stuff." And I turned around and then they said, "Oh, I thought you were wearing a Vegas jersey." And I'm all, "God forbid." Oh. And so I'm like, "Oh, it's because there's some gold in it, I think."
When
But
it's
those,
outside the normal design and people aren't expecting to see it, it'll just throw them off in general.
yeah, I guess. Yeah.
We have covered, holy cow, we've covered a lot of great stuff tonight. And again,
Yeah.
Thanks for Michael for joining us. He had to drop off, and you, Meli, with you guys getting the expo together a week from this Saturday, March the 1st. I know Paul's excited. He's been talking about it, and we know Mitch is excited because
Can't wait to see
Mitch.
them.
As long as you feed him Coors Light, you'll be just fine. But I can't wait to see pictures and hear all about it. We'll go around really quick, do some final thoughts, and then get out of here. Wade, you got anything?
Fun night. Thanks for coming on. Nice to have some new fun guests, and thanks, Meli, for your
Thank you
time.
for having me.
Thanks, Michael, for coming on as well. And until next week.
Thank you so much.
Paul, what you got?
Well, thank you, Meli and Michael. Greatly appreciate you guys on here. Great show. This was fun. And even more importantly, I'm looking forward to seeing the two of you in a little bit over a week. Monica and Maze are making the trip with me, so
I'm excited. Yeah, because
they're-
I wasn't sure if Monica was coming, but then you told me she was. So
yeah, we thought we had a conflict on March 1st, and we couldn't figure out what it was, and it's just like, so we decided we're gonna drive down there. Maze will be the expo dog.
that's awesome.
I think 4 years ago we brought Owen.
Yeah,
Owen. Yeah. So
Maze will be
yeah,
the expo dog. We'll
Maze
take
at
plenty of pictures.
Yeah.
Oh yes, but you met Maze at the hockey game after the expo.
Yes, at the game, and then with the mascot. What's their mascot?
Frenzy.
Frenzy. Oh yeah, Frenzy.
Yes. That was a lot of fun.
He was giving us a hard time because we were wearing our King stuff, but he was a cool mascot.
Yes, yeah, that was. I mean, that was so much fun,
and your puppy's doing really well because Maze is learning about hockey crowds and how to deal with the people loving on her.
Oh yeah, that's no. We actually bring her to a number of games, just the Barracuda games, not the Sharks games, and she's gotten used to the noise. Still, Frenzy banging on his drum does scare her, but we're working on that. But she's getting there. It's a lot of fun, and I'd like to think we did the Northern Cal San Jose Expo went off really well with all the events around it. So now we're counting on you guys to top it, and I am looking forward to it.
Well, I am too. It's going to be exciting. Thanks, fellas, for having me on. I had a lot of fun.
Well, Meli, thank you so much. Good luck with the show, and as always, please like, subscribe, follow, do all the things you got to do for social media. If you want to come on the show, if you have suggestions for topics, certain things, whatever you want us to cover, reach out to one of us. Please, if you're a newer collector and you've got questions, you can reach out to any of us or reach out to Meli. She is very welcoming as well. We all want to help grow this
on my Instagram, and any female collectors that are out there, because there's not very many of us at all. So if you're a female collector, you don't need to hide, because the guys are cool. They'll bring you in. They'll be okay.
And even if you've not bought anything yet, and you're just thinking about getting in, reach out to somebody. We want to help you and get you started off on the right foot. Thanks again. We will see you guys back next week. We'll talk a little bit, probably have the pricing of the Four Nations as we wrap up this podcast. The regular game is over, and now they're going into overtime. 2-2. Wow, this couldn't have been scripted any better. So we'll see you guys all next week.